So IGN has decided to come out and embrace their stupidity and come out with some of the dumbest takes we've known for a while. They have been engagement farming for God knows how long, and that is how they've been running their business. Nothing they usually say makes sense. Their review scores are generally biased just to trigger engagement and trigger outrage so they can get, a few 100,000 tweets underneath their post to basically just farm that, Elon Musk money. But what's actually going on here is something a little bit different, and they've decided to jump on a train that I just don't think they need to be on. Because at the end of the day, all they're doing right now is incriminating themselves. They are turning around and calling themselves racist. And I don't really understand why a company would want to do this. Why a company would come out of the woodworks and openly say, hey guys, listen, we are racist. We are proud to be racist. But we want to now show that we're not racist. When they weren't racist in the first place. And it blows my mind. It's like, why would you come out and say that you was racist when you wasn't, and now try to say, "Hey, but look, we're better now. When we didn't do anything wrong back then, but we're better now, and now we're on your side. So can you come and please click on our link so we can make more money?" So that's essentially what's happening here. And do you know why? Because you should be hitting that like button and that subscribe button and that bell so you stay up to date with all content I release. See, if they can engage with farm, I can like and subscribe farm. See how that works? But anyway, as you're seeing from here, you can see that IGN has decided that Resident Evil 5 simply can't be remade. At least not to the standards of Capcom's best work. Now, I completely disagree. I think the game can be remade. I think Resident Evil 5 was actually a pretty good game overall. And outside of the control quirks, the sharing of loot, and the fact that, when you went to your inventory, it was still active at all times, which was weird in itself, I think it was actually pretty okay. I think the game actually worked well. Years later, when I actually played it in co-op with a friend of mine, we had a lot of fun. And, I liked what I played. And this was like, probably in the last 2 years I played it. So it's been a long time since the game came out and I played it, and it still stood the test of time. That tells you that the game is good. Never at one point did I think, oh my god, this game is racist. Never at one point did I say, oh my god, look at all of this stuff. It's not like I jump into a Call of Duty game and say, oh my god, look at all those Muslims they're killing, or all those people of color they're killing. The thought never crosses my mind. I'm just playing a video game. But no. This is not the way of IGN. And it's already been community noted, and that's the most beautiful thing about this, and I absolutely love it. This post represents opinions about the potential for remaking Resident Evil 5 as facts and might lack important context. The claim about the game's remake potential is subjective, prone to speculation, and not verified by Capcom. Now, this was actually slightly changed because the original one basically talked about how the game was given a 9 out of 10 by IGN at the time. The game back in, 2010 was deemed not to be racist. But if we actually now go into the article, so as you can see, this is just a clip of the Resident Evil, but this is the article. And what they're saying in this article is quite simple. What was acceptable in 2010 is no longer acceptable in 2020. Now, my question is, over here you can see it. This insensitive treatment of people of color was hotly debated even as early as Resident Evil 5's debut trailer, which writers such as Ngai Kroll and Stephen Totillo pointing out the game's uncomfortable post-colonial imagery. The arguments and think pieces continued well into the game's release window, with IGN's own former editor-in-chief Hilary Goldstein having also wrestled with the subject, but they still gave it a 9 out of 10. They didn't discredit it for any of that stuff. Oh, no. They were really happy with the game. And all of this was, not even really talked about. No one really cared back then. But that was 2009, so it was totally acceptable in 2009, a time when race was apparently a debate. Race was never a debate. Race was something you just didn't care about because it was something that was just a thing, right? I'm an ethnic minority. There are white people. There are people of color. It's a thing. We are human, right? But back then, none of them cared because they could get away with saying any form of shit and it didn't really matter. And IGN absolutely openly admits to this. That back then, because if they're saying it's racist now, what they're saying is that it was racist in the past. And they gave a racist game a 9 out of 10. Do you see how stupid this looks on their part? In the 2020s, in a post-Black Lives Matter world, there is only one acceptable response to a white man shooting waves of Africans for an entire video game. No. But it's perfectly okay for one black guy to shoot a wave of white people, or for a Muslim to go and, shoot a bunch of white people or whatever. But it becomes a problem when it's a person of color. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a video game. It's a video game. The way they're portraying it is clearly trying to incite rage, and they are trying to incite people to go against Capcom. They are basically asking people to change, Capcom, to change the source material. You are absolutely brain dead, IGN. That's what you are. Remakes may be able to redefine their source material, but there's only so many changes you can make until it's not a remake at all, but an entirely new game. And if you take Africa out of Resident Evil and put, say, something like London or America, which they'll be perfectly happy with, by the way, because that will be pandering to, the whole DEI situation that's going on with Sweet Baby Inc. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? This whole DEI inclusiveness, this whole Gamergate 2.0. This is where this article is coming from. Is it Resident Evil 5 anymore? No. So leave the game the way it fucking is and let people enjoy it. If it wasn't a problem in 2009, it's not going to be a problem in 2020. And if it is a problem in 2020, then people just won't buy it. Let people speak with their wallets. You don't need to make an article like this to say, hey guys, back in 2009, we were racist, but now we are not. We are going to move ahead of that and prove to the world that they're all racist and we're not. So essentially, if you are enjoying Resident Evil 5 and if you like the game, what IGN is saying is you are racist. That is essentially what IGN is saying. And this is crazy, right? This is absolutely bonkers. How can IGN openly come out and call people racist? Even with a vastly improved, more sensitive take on the content, perhaps one black man protagonist and more emphatic look at the outbreak, the experience would simply be too divorced from the original. See? Right there. That'd be perfectly okay if it was a black man killing white people. But they were perfectly okay with it's either Tell Us Why or Life is Strange when there was... and they're not bringing this game up at all, where there is a lot of this kind of... racial agenda going on in that game, which, is quite disturbing if you've played it. And, it goes into some deep topics of, how racism and prejudice can actually overtake people's reactions. And it portrays it in such a powerful way that, the person playing the game actually appreciates it and makes them take a step back and actually just look at what's going on in the game and appreciate that this is the stuff that's being explored in the real world. Now, obviously, people don't want to be seeing that sort of thing in a video game. On top of that, this is a video game that, kids are going to be playing. Maybe not Resident Evil, but this sort of agenda is being pushed through to kids as well. And at the end of the day, kids don't need to be exposed to this. But IGN are perfectly okay with that game because it depicts white people as being very, very bad. I believe it was a white guy in Life is Strange being really, really disgusting towards a Mexican, I think it was. And, it's disturbing. When you watch it, it's actually disturbing. But IGN won't bring that game up. Naturally, they won't bring that game up at all because, it's talking about, It's a white person being depicted as a really nasty person. I'm personally getting really tired of all of this rubbish that's going on with the way gaming media is trying to push and advocate for these sorts of things, because it's starting to get stupid. At the end of the day, they're not complaining about Resident Evil 4, where you're killing a bunch of white dudes. That's perfectly okay. But the moment this happens, it's a problem. And that clearly tells you that it's all propaganda. It's all fake. IGN couldn't give a shit about anything that they're writing there. They don't care, because if they cared, in 2009, they wouldn't have given this game a near perfect score. They would have turned around and said, we refuse to review this game based on our moral feelings. But they didn't. But in 2020, now they can talk about it because it's news. It's at the centerfold of everything. It's the way the world is going, the movement. I mean, it's clearly the Ouroboros virus is the key, aspect of this. It's based in a fictional universe. And at this time, people played this game. How many people actually cared about anything outside of shooting, essentially zombies? I don't know. I think IGN are being absolutely stupid. I think they're being absolutely ridiculous. And this is just typical IGN, right? This is just typical IGN. They have no common sense. All they're doing is floundering to clicks, and all they want to do is just make sure that you click on that. They cause more drama, more thing. At the end of the day, I really hope that Capcom doesn't send them if they do actually make a Resident Evil 5 remake, and it's possible that they might, right? Or like a remastered version of it, because it still stands the test of time. I'm telling you, on PC, it still looks good. But if they do that, I really hope that they do not give IGN a copy. They make IGN go and buy this game, and then IGN can review it badly. Because we all know that when Resident Evil 5 Remastered, if it's ever made, is going to review badly. I mean, there you go. That dude is not a person of color. Right? I mean, they're probably few and far between. But I just think that's not a person of thing of color, right? It's an alien creature. Well, a mutated creature. The point I'm making is, look, Resident Evil 2. No complaints here. Resident Evil 4, no complaints. Resident Evil 3, no complaints. But when it comes to Resident Evil 5, there has to be a complaint because of its location. That's it. And they believe that by complaining about it now, they're going to get into the headlines. I mean, isn't your partner a person of color? Isn't your partner, I forgot her name now, but isn't she a person of color? Resident Evil 8 had a bunch of people with person of color. No complaints. So why is Resident Evil 5 the center of contention? Because it's an easy target. And IGN should be ashamed of themselves. As an ethnic minority, I know what it feels like to be racially discriminated against, to be prejudiced against, to have people calling me and my family terrorists just because we're walking outside minding our own business. I get it. I get it more than a lot of people think I do. Right? I live it on a daily basis here in the United Kingdom. I do. It's a fact. But no one cares about me because I'm a Muslim. No one cares about me because my skin color resembles that of a white person. My ethnic rights, my ethnic prejudice isn't important. All IGN is doing is pandering on to this Black Lives Matter movement and trying to make the most money out of it. They have turned around and weaponized it into a financial gain, and it is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. All these companies, IGN, all of them, have turned around and looked at this and said, how can we make the most money out of this? And the way they can make the most money is by saying Resident Evil 5 can't be remade. Resident Evil 5 can't be remastered. That's it. That's disgusting. And IGN should be ashamed of themselves, and people should be calling out IGN for this, because this is not acceptable. Not today, not in 2009, Not in 2030, not in 2040. Trying to capitalize and monetize this aggression is shameful behavior. But what do you expect from a corporation? I expect nothing less. Do you? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. And we will be live today in about half an hour to an hour. So hopefully I'll see you then. Remain legend. Peace out.